Hello, mates.
Hello, mates.
How's it going?
I am well. How are you?
I'm alright.
Good. Good to know.
It's a bit fucking cold.
It is very fucking cold.
If you hear anything in the background, it's because the world is ending right outside our window.
No, it's not.
Well, it is.
No, it's not.
None of this was forecast.
It's a little bit snowy and a little bit thundery. Have you ever... I've never seen a thunderstorm and a snowstorm at the same time. I didn't even think that was a thing.
I don't know. We don't get snow that here. Snow that here
that often. What was that?
We don't get snow here that often. So...
There we go.
There we go. I went and took some nice photos.
You did? Some photography?
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
We've not really been up to anything.
No.
These past 2 weeks. No. But I want to address something.
Go.
Because it's kind of been bugging me.
Go.
So we got a review sometime, I think it was around December time.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it until last week. And someone was complaining about the profanity that we use.
The fuck?
Yeah. Now, while we do appreciate the review...
Always.
The honest review, it was 4 stars, so it wasn't...
Yeah, no, we can't knock 4 stars, can we?
It wasn't too bad, but I just feel the need to explain a bit on why we swear.
Mm-hmm.
Because... I'm pretty sure we've said it before, but we live in Ireland.
Yes.
It is normal here to swear.
In fact, expected sometimes.
Yes. It's an adjective.
Yes.
You use it to describe things.
It's a description, it's an adjective, it's a verb.
Yeah.
It's literally everything. Like, it's not just us. If you listen to Irish radio, they swear quite frequently on it, which is hilarious.
It's very, very entertaining. When you're at work, you swear to your bosses, and they swear back to you. It's just a very kind of laid back way of thinking.
Yeah.
There are a lot more things wrong with the world than a couple of words.
Yeah, so it's...
And I'm cutting you off there.
Thanks.
But I think that if the thing that bothers you most about the subjects we talk about is the fact that we swear, then I think that there might be that I don't agree with that.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, we are tagged as explicit.
Yeah, we tag ourselves as explicit.
Like,
don't get me wrong, we appreciate every listen we get and every download and everything like that. But if you want a podcast that doesn't swear...
It's probably not going to be us.
It's not us. It's just, it's in our nature. We want to make this podcast as authentic as possible. We don't really use scripts. We just use bullet points from our research, and it's just very conversational. And
it's not scripted in the slightest.
No,
really.
It's just us talking shit.
Yeah.
About things that we're passionate about and things that we've researched.
Yeah.
And I think that, not unfair, because I appreciate that they gave us a try.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to throw it out there of why we do it. It's not to be edgy or cool or anything like that.
No,
it's literally just the way we are.
It's just how we are and how the country is as a whole, really. It's a cultural thing almost.
Yeah. So, like, you could be at work and your boss could even throw around the C word. Frequently, yeah.
Not even talking about you either.
No. No, it's just very laid back. There, like I said, there's plenty of things wrong with the world that are worse.
Yes, definitely.
And I think that people's energies are best directed in that way.
Yes.
While not isolating any listeners that don't like our swearing, although I can't think that there would be many of them.
No, I don't really think so either. We've probably weeded most of them out by now.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, no, just wanted to throw that out there because it has been bugging us, and we feel like we don't want to force anyone to listen to us if they're not comfortable with swearing. No,
because it's not going away.
It's just us.
It's just not in our nature not to be like that.
Yeah. And no, definitely just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah. So
back to what we've been doing.
Yes. Oh, really?
Which is absolutely nothing.
Not a great deal,
Nothing.
if I'm honest.
No, we've been working. You've been working nights. I've been working days again. And No, it's just, this is the first day we've had kind of like to ourselves
Yeah.
in a long time.
Which has been nice, really.
Yeah, no, it's been nice. We were going to go out exploring some haunted places today.
Yeah, and then it fucking snowed.
But it snowed, so we can't get out the house.
No. Well, we can, but we might not get back.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Because Ireland is ill-equipped to deal with such weather.
It is, and my car is unfortunately an automatic, which means it's even more ill-equipped.
Yeah, pretty
normal.
much. Yeah.
So
that's our story.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this.
So we're going to hopefully go next week. Or something.
Hopefully. It looks like a cool place. It's the Abbey of the Black Hag, I believe.
The Abbey of the Black Hag. There's a Hellfire Club and all these other cool haunted places.
Which no bad thing can possibly come from.
No. So, I think my mum's even coming along for the ride.
Yeah, she's coming for an explore too.
Yeah. So that should be fun.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to Know That Actually Happened?
We shall.
We have some really cool ones for you this week.
It's going to be an interesting episode no matter what.
So shall we move on to Know That Actually Happened?
We shall.
So we've got some really cool ones this week.
Yes, we do.
Some quite eventful things have been happening around the world.
It's an exciting time.
It is. Do you want to go first? Because I feel like yours kind of ties in with us.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we're recording this on the 2nd of February. And yesterday, the 1st of February, was the 60th anniversary of the infamous Dyatlov Pass incident.
Ooh.
So, and with it being the 60th anniversary, the Russian authorities have now said that they are going to reopen the investigation, people.
Wow.
We might actually find out what really happened up there.
It's crazy that it takes 60 years to do it, though.
It's insane that it's taken them so long.
Yeah. This is why we don't use scripts.
Yeah, this is exactly why we don't use scripts.
You have to leave that pause in as well.
Yeah. Okay, so what the investigators are going to do, they're looking at the original investigation, they're sending investigators back to the area. I read there was going to be about 9 separate investigations.
Yeah.
One for each of the members.
One for each person, yeah.
And they're going to do a psychological profile of them, and they're just going to use more modern investigation methods to try and figure out what was going through their minds as it was all unfolding. And interestingly, they're going to send a team up there to try and reenact how they got out of the tent and what happened afterwards.
I don't think I'd want to be part of that team, to be quite honest with you.
Absolutely not. No. I'm not a part of that.
The Ural Mountains today are still dodgy at best.
Yes, they are. So, it's not happening, to be honest.
No. And what's... Fuck off, crows. And what's worse is... to get an accurate representation and reenactment is they'd have to go at the same time.
They would. They'd have to redo everything properly and as everything as they did.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very spooky, I think, up there. I think, I mean, we know Russians are all mad bastards anyway, but...
I don't think I'd want to be part of that.
No, I wouldn't want to be part of that either. But kudos for them for finally reopening the investigation, because as we all know, regular listeners, something wasn't right about that.
No. Whether it was some government cover-up or the wildlings of the Urals.
Fucking wildlings.
Well, they are effectively wildlings.
True.
Are they not?
True.
Or aliens or whatever you want to say happened. Hopefully we'll actually finally get to figure it out.
We might get some answers at last.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing, and I imagine it's probably, I mean, it's 60 years ago, but whatever family the hikers have left,
yeah,
it's probably going to be some comfort for them, even just as an end for all the endless conspiracy theories about what happened.
Just some closure,
yeah,
to be honest. Yeah. So, on to my Know That Actually Happened.
Go.
A plane has gone missing over the English Channel Islands.
It's not very healthy for a plane to do, really, is it?
Nope. What made me pick this is I have family in the Channel Islands. My dad lives over there, my uncles, my aunts, my grandma. They all live in the Channel Islands. And I was talking to my dad about this last weekend, because we call every Sunday night. And apparently he was on the beach he was fishing. He's a fisherman. He was on the beach looking in the general direction of where the plane went down. And if he'd have stayed an extra 30 minutes longer, he would have seen the plane go down.
That's crazy, isn't it, really? It's
crazy. So basically, it was a light aircraft.
Yeah.
It was like 2 to 4 seats.
Yeah, they're only diddy little things, aren't they?
It was a Cardiff footballer or soccer player if you're American, and a pilot. And the plane went off the radar in the middle of the Channel Islands, basically. So Jersey is the furthest south of Channel Islands. Then you have Guernsey in the middle, and then you have Alderney, which is the most north.
Yeah.
You can literally see the top of France.
Yeah.
And it went down there.
It's very, very strange.
It just went off the radar and no one can find anything. Apparently, cushions have washed up in Nantes.
Nantes?
Nantes. I don't know how it's called.
I have no idea.
You know the city in France?
No.
Nantes.
Nantes. Okay, yeah, I didn't know there was a city called Nantes.
Well, yeah. Well, some cushions from the plane have washed up there. They think it's from the plane.
Yeah.
And so hopefully this weekend, the weekend we're recording this, they're going to do an underwater search because they've scoured the entire surface area.
Yeah.
Loads of volunteers from the RNLI went out, and my uncle was one of them.
Yeah.
My uncle was one of them that went out looking, and they couldn't find anything. No oil slick, no anything. So they're going to do an underwater search now. But the place that the plane went down is over 600 feet deep.
Yeah, so they're going to struggle to find... Well, they're not struggle to find it. They can go that deep, but it's not easy.
Yeah, but what is... Depending on which way you want to take this, there has been, in the Channel Islands, a lot of alien kind of sightings.
Cue the X Factor theme.
Yeah.
I was going to hum it then, but I actually forgot it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for that.
Yeah, it was good.
So there's this small local airline for the Channel Islands called Aurigny, and their pilots frequently kind of state that they see weird lights and stuff like that.
Wasn't there an entire plane full of people who saw it once?
Yeah.
Because they're like buses, aren't they? There's no separation between the cabin and the pilot.
No.
It's just another seat.
There's usually about maybe 10 to 20 seats on each plane, so it's very, very small because there aren't many people in the Channel Islands, to be quite honest with you.
It's literally a bus with wings.
Yeah, pretty much. So they frequently see aliens, so there are some speculations that aliens could have brought the plane down.
Well.
Which is rather odd.
It's very odd.
If you ask me.
It's very, very odd.
But no, I really hope that they find them.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to find them and figure out what actually happened.
Yeah, because...
If anything, so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, because obviously it's fucking tragic for
Definitely
the poor man's family. So I really hope they find them.
Yeah.
One way or another, hopefully alive.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
That kind of sets the tone for this episode.
It does, really. We're usually quite funny.
Probably not going to be in this one.
No, we're not usually we are usually quite funny, but this time it's not particularly funny.
No. Originally this was meant to be a two-parter, but because of the amount of stuff we found while we were researching, it's now going to be a three-parter.
It is, yeah.
None of it is particularly nice.
No.
So if you're sensitive, or I wouldn't say easily offended, because it's not really something that will offend because it's real. Yeah. But if you're quite sensitive, I would recommend skipping this entire series of ours.
Yeah, because it's not great. I mean, we've talked about a lot of weird and spooky stuff on this podcast. That's not new to us, but this is the first one for me that's left me genuinely unsettled.
I think it's more because the stuff we usually talk about is historical, so it's already happened and it's done with. Or it's paranormal and mythology, where it's kind of up to interpretation. It is, yeah. But this one, it's fact, it happens, and it's happening right now. Yeah. Which, so makes me angry.
It's beggars belief, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But there you go. So this is the first of 3 episodes, and this is about the dark side of the internet.
Yeah, so basically in this episode, we'll be talking about more technical and kind of culty side of things. In the next one, we'll be talking about urban legends and that kind of thing. And in the third episode, we'll be talking about the dark web.
Yeah.
Originally, we'd had planned to do this one and the dark web next time, but because there's so much, we just couldn't.
No, there's just too much.
There's way too much. Yeah. So, I'm going to start off with this one.
Go ahead.
I'm going to give you a warning here. This episode is fucked up.
It's a mess, to be honest. It's an absolute mess.
It's fucked up, and I hate that things like this happen.
Yeah, it's not nice at all.
No, and you'll realise that the longer we get into this episode. Yeah. So I don't even want to make the Game of Thrones joke now. No
one expected Game of Thrones today.
No, I don't even want to. I had a Game of Thrones joke mixed in, and I don't really want to say it now.
No, it's a bit. It's not right, is it?
No. I was really proud of that joke as well.
You can reuse it again.
I'll maybe say it on Twitter after.
Yeah, you can say it again. It's okay.
Yeah. So, now that we have that little disclaimer out the way, we have a lot to get into. So, I will just get started. There is this wonderful place called Reddit.
We like Reddit. I like Reddit.
I like Reddit. It's coming very useful for a lot of our research, actually.
And not only that, there's a great set of communities on there, and frankly, it's a great waste of time.
Yeah. There are a lot of amazing communities in there. I would like to start that off.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of entertaining communities. There are subreddits just for fucking dogs, like, just for nice pictures of dogs.
There are.
It's a wholesome community.
Yeah, like, I'm in a few. I'm in the motorcycle subreddit. I'm in the No Man's Sky subreddit. I'm in a few, and they're all great places.
But it does have a dark side.
There are not so great places in there as well.
Which brings me into a community of people that call themselves incels. I hate this.
Yeah.
I fucking hate this.
Yeah, just power through. It's okay.
So I really struggled to sum up incels. I couldn't find a diplomatic way of explaining it, and I couldn't find a nice way of explaining it. So thanks, Wikipedia, for this definition. Incels are members of an online subculture who define themselves as unable to find a romantic or sexual partner despite desiring one, a state they describe as inceldom.
It's a fair enough description, I suppose.
Yeah. And I kind of want to make another disclaimer. This is going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
It's going to be offensive.
It's going to be uncomfortable to listen to.
But I don't want to censor it because these people need to know that it's not right, and you need to be aware of these people in case you meet them. Which I hope none of you do. That Wikipedia definition is a very broad definition and too nice if I'm being honest. Now, I've done quite a bit of research on these people, and they frequent sites such as Reddit, 4chan, incels.net, just to name a few.
4chan's a bad place.
4chan is a bad place. I never go on 4chan. Basically, they have a serious hatred for women since they can't get laid.
To put it bluntly.
Yeah. Now, before I go any further, I realise that women are guilty of this also. They are guilty of having a hatred for men that is kind of unwarranted.
Yeah.
But we're talking about incels.
Yes.
Which are mainly men. Now, onto what happens and kind of what they do. Back in the day, there used to be a subreddit just simply called incels.
I actually remember stumbling into this subreddit when it wasn't banned.
What happened?
It was a very angry and very sad place.
Yeah.
That's the impression I took away from it. It's angry and it was sad. Like, to see people, because the trouble is these kind of things, they get into a place where I don't like using they because they're kind of still people, but they all start talking to each other and it becomes like an echo chamber, and then it gets a bit culty.
We'll come to that later.
And it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
So it's not great.
But incels, the R incels subreddit was probably one of the most active communities, I want to say.
Probably, yeah.
But it did get shut down by Reddit.
It did?
A few years ago. And the people in there kind of fanned out into all these smaller subreddits. Yeah. They've moved on to, like, a couple of them I found was brain cells.
Yeah, that's one.
And incel selfies.
Yeah.
Incel selfies would be where incels would post pictures of themselves, and other incels would give them advice on how to make themselves more attractive to get a woman. Yeah,
or the other thing they usually used to do to each other was encourage suicide.
Yeah,
that was one thing I saw quite a lot.
Yeah, that is rampant in this community. Yeah. Actually, unfortunately, I'll come to that a bit more later.
Am I ruining your...
A little bit, yes.
Yes, I will be quiet now.
So in these places, incels would refer to women as voids or femdoids or other derogatory terms like that. Or the C word.
Yep.
That's unfortunately common. They'd refer to them as the C word. If a woman turned them down, they would be so uncontrollably angry, leading to a general hate towards women.
Yeah.
Now, what is shocking about this is there were actually posts in these forums giving advice on how to persuade attractive women to sleep with you.
I don't like that term persuade. I'm not sure I like where it's probably going to go.
Yeah. Why women are subhumans, why women should sleep with them, and some of the worst ones are revenge tactics for women who have turned them down, and advice on raping women.
That's where I was afraid it was going to go.
It's disgusting. It's horrible. They believe that women live to serve men and that they should sleep with them without question. So basically that women do not have the right to say yes or no.
It's basically a throwback to the 1940s and 1950s.
Yeah, basically, but a lot worse.
Yeah, a lot worse.
Yeah. They believe that men have the short end of the stick, that women can go around sleeping with anyone they want with no repercussions, and men have to work at it harder.
It's delusional, really, isn't it? It is sheer delusion.
Now, don't get me wrong. Anyone can sleep with whoever they want. You know? It's 2019. Yeah. Like, people can do what they want. Obviously, as long as it's not cheating or anything like that. Yeah. They're free to sleep with whomever they want, if they want to.
Yes, that's the important thing, if they want to.
And men are free to do the same.
If they want to.
Yes. But this is fucked up. This is seriously one of the most disturbing things I've ever come across. I'm going to read some of the posts from these places now. Some of them are a bit long, but I couldn't condense them. I just wanted to get all of the information and context in there. One place quotes, "It's hilarious how we are told to lower our standards when it comes to females. How much fucking lower can our standards for them get? Men expect virtually nothing of women. Women aren't asked to be smart. They aren't asked to be funny. They aren't asked to be interesting. Women are allowed to be as emotional and neurotic as they want. A woman can have a breakdown, be placed on 72-hour psychiatric hold, and undergo 30-plus ECT treatments for depression. And there's her husband standing by her. Meanwhile, a man is allowed a single tear at a family member's funeral. Anything more than that, and she's like so turned off right now. Women are fucking children, and their standard for men is for their husband to be like their father. That's why they do the baby voice. They're looking for another daddy. That's why all heterosexual women are subs in BDSM. That's why they want the guy to be taller and stronger than her. They expect men to be their rock. They are only attracted to guys who are extremely outward superior to them in every facet of life. Women aren't asked to be physically attractive. They're just asked not to be repulsive. Then all men go rushing to the hottest thing they can get, and will settle for just about anything if it comes to it. At this point, our standards for women are so low that we don't even ask they be human. We're willing to fuck sex robots. We'd be willing to fuck sex robots who are a 4 out of 10. Lower your standards in the game of the soft bigotry of low expectations. Women are the primary players. They have earned nothing, and yet they receive everything."
There's a lot of anger in there.
Yeah.
Like, misdirected anger, basically.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Another one. This is short, but not any less disgusting. Quote, I would never call the police for crimes against females. I of course don't owe them anything and no one is entitled to anything. Tee-hee.
Tee-hee?
Yeah.
T-fucking-hee?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And my last one, this is a long one, but it's fucked. And I think I'm probably going to have to explain some of the terminology. Quote, just think about it. Women, the far more childish and evil of the two genders, that has complete and utter privilege, is granted absolute power and thought of as suffering from inequality. Most of us men suffer with an extremely horny and thirsty existence while foids walk around flaunting their bodies constantly, but deny it completely to most men. Any average thought can make hundreds of thousands sitting at home playing video games in a bra while we rot. They can at any time have any beta simp give them free expensive gifts, shopping, holidays, accommodation, dates, sex, or cash. Men, the only gender capable of doing anything productive, allow themselves to work as slaves for femoids, in the hope the foids consensually grant them sex, even though the foids are far physically weaker and extremely degenerate shallow chad-chasing whores.
Who hurt them?
Yeah.
It's almost like a wild animal thrashing around, going at anything and everything around it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm sort of taking away from that. It's like the death throes of a cheetah or something like that. It's roaming around and snapping at anything it can.
It's disgusting, and it's kind of hard to believe people like this actually exist and are roaming about freely.
But they do. The best place to find this kind of stuff, to be honest, is if you go on Reddit and type in r/incel tears.
Incel tears, yeah.
Because that's a group set up to expose these people.
Yeah.
And to sort of showcase that people who are talking about this group aren't just full of shit. Because when you read things like that, you think, no, you're exaggerating. No.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it is.
They exist. I've come across a couple in my lifetime. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
The way we're kind of viewing it is almost like a cult, like you started to say before.
Yeah, sorry about
that. So basically, what I think will happen is these men will feel rejection from a woman, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, I felt rejection from men and it fucking sucks. But then these men will hop online and kind of vent about their issues, and then these men will kind of pull them in.
Yeah,
and suck them into this cult-like mentality.
Yeah, it's like, it's the kind of thing that I imagine would start with, yes, like, we understand how you feel, we're there for you, it's their fault, it's their problem, it's not with you.
Yeah.
And it's hard to sort of say, but I mean, rejection's rejection, people get rejected, I've been rejected, you've been rejected, everyone gets rejected at some point. It's an unfortunate fact of life, but to then think that it's
you're right to be angry and hate the woman for it.
Yeah, it's not acceptable, really.
It's really not.
And that cult-like thinking is what keeps them there, and it keeps them getting worse. They get worse, they get worse, they get worse.
Yeah.
And so that the only way that they can really then express themselves is through this incel group.
Yeah.
And that's how it gets to the point where they're advocating rape, they're advocating physical abuse.
Yeah.
They advocate bestiality.
Yeah.
Paedophilia. It's
fucking disgusting.
Truly disgusting.
But there is like a silver lining almost.
Yes, there is.
There are these groups set up, there are subreddits set up, there's online communities set up for incels that are kind of, inverted commas here, in recovery. So basically they realize that there's something wrong with them and they don't have the right to feel this hatred towards women. So they're trying to better themselves and get better and repower their thinking, which I think is great.
It's fantastic. And I mean, we realise that there's something wrong with them, but if they've been manipulated by a load of people when they're already in a vulnerable state, is it really? Of course, it's their fault, and it's not their fault at the same time. It's what cults prey on, and that's what this is. It's a cult.
They prey on vulnerable people.
It's vulnerable people getting drawn into something that they shouldn't be getting drawn into.
It's fucked.
It is. It's a total fucking mess. So
yeah, that's my segment on incels, and we're going to move on now.
Yes, we are. And
what are we at?
We are at 30 minutes. So, do you ever feel like you're being watched?
All the time, and usually by you.
That sounds creepy. Thank you for that. Especially what we were just talking about. Thank you for that. No, not quite like that. What I meant is... I'll explain what I meant. And what we're talking about is cameras, basically. So, there was an estimate in 2014 where it reckoned that there was 245 million professionally installed cameras worldwide. Like security cameras, basically.
That's not including webcams. It's not including phone cameras.
No, it's not even including amateur installed cameras.
Yeah.
And of that 245 million, there are 20% of them they think that are wired to a network of some kind.
Jesus.
There was a study by a prominent tech company in 2017 that expected this number to rise to 45 billion in 5 years.
Fuck.
It's a lot of cameras.
And 5 years is now.
Yeah, basically. It's getting towards now.
Yeah.
45
Oh, boy.
45 billion cameras.
Is that more than there are people?
Oh, yeah. A lot more than there are people.
How many people are there in the world?
Conservatively, probably about 7 to 8 billion. Google.
Okay, Google.
You're not going to want to do that by the end of this session, I can tell you that
How
now.
many people are there in the world?
The population of Earth was 7.53 billion in 2017.
Told you.
That's the last time I'm doing that, ever.
Yeah. And so, this leads to the question. The average person is caught on CCTV around 70 times a day. Joke's on them, we never leave the house, so it's much less for us.
We're alright. Only our own cameras.
But people in big cities, London always gets mentioned, they can be caught up to 300 times a day on cameras.
London is notorious for having, like...
a lot of cameras.
CCTV on literally every corner.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Fast and Furious movie?
Yeah, all the cameras are everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And The Rock kind of crushes that guy's hand, and...
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, is it though? I mean, you say cameras, what are you talking about? Cameras, you fucking idiots. Basically, you're under the impression that this data is kept by people who can be trusted. Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. No, it is absolutely not. And if you were to do a quick Google search, you'd find a whole host of sites with live links to active cameras all around the world, watching streets, watching parks, watching petrol stations, watching anything.
So you could literally stalk someone
if you were
through cameras.
If you knew where they were and you could access the cameras,
which apparently you can.
Which you can. There's a couple. The thing is, there's 2 or 3 different ways of doing it, and I'll explain on. But this is talking about more legal, in inverted commas, accessing of cameras. None of this is legal.
Bullshit.
None of this is legal,
Bullshit.
But more legal. So what's happening here is that these cameras are obviously they're all connected to the internet, and they're traceable because they're on sort of unsecured servers.
Yeah. Like
people can just guess the passwords. Lazy admins not changing the standard passwords, and they're just in and they can use them.
They reckon I actually read something. It was a while ago that I think like 20% of passwords are passwords.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. So, and there's a special search browser, and I've forgotten its name. I think it's Shoban or something like that. That you can access. You can search for these cameras by the IP address or by the brand or whatever.
So you could technically get into someone's home surveillance systems.
That is usually a bit more difficult because you'd have to be able to get into the Wi-Fi on the home and things like that. That is.
But Wi-Fi's not secure either.
No, it's not.
You know, our Wi-Fi. Just look at what the password is for our Wi-Fi.
Exactly. We should probably not have that. Thinking about it, but you never know.
Yeah.
So this gives rise to what they call controllable cameras. Now, controllable cameras, by definition, it's like a camera you can control. And what you can do with these special cameras is you can move them, zoom them in and out, capture and record. And this is street cameras. It's cameras pointing at people's houses. It's things like that.
Webcams.
Potentially webcams.
Phone cameras.
Phone cameras. If you have the right software installed, yes. If you were to infect a computer with the spyware or the malware needed to activate its camera, you could potentially be you could be being watched, and you'd not have a fucking clue it was happening.
I think this is the perfect time to introduce what we were talking about last night. Your phone.
My phone. And we were talking about this last night.
We were watching Shane Dawson's new conspiracy documentary.
Yep.
And it was the part where he kind of listens to his phone and sees is it tapped or whatever. Yeah. And
mine is, apparently.
Yeah.
I can hear the static on my phone.
Yeah. Well, we don't know if it's tapped for sure.
But we can hear something when it shouldn't be making any noise.
And it doesn't happen on my phone.
No.
It doesn't happen on your work phone.
Nope.
Literally just your phone.
Just my mobile phone.
And apparently you can do that just by having someone's number.
Yeah. So someone's potentially tapped my mobile phone.
Which is sitting right behind you.
Which is on airplane mode sitting right behind me, might I add. Like, this is such a big thing that if you just Google controllable web cameras, there's pages upon pages, like we said. There's one of them I'm going to talk about a little bit more in depth. It has claims to have access to 70,000 live cameras across the world.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Like, I mean, there's even a dedicated subreddit for controllable cameras with about 50,000 subscribers.
That's disturbing.
Like, and of course, it is an open subreddit though. It's not a quarantine subreddit or anything like that. It's
like
not
the brain cells.
It's not. It's open to anyone who just types in controllable cameras, which means that there is a standard of moderating, which means that there shouldn't be anything on there that isn't fair game to the people who watch this stuff.
But then you gotta wonder, like, what's been deleted.
Exactly. You just don't know. Even with that, though, there are stories of people who get addicted to watching this stuff.
I can see it.
I can see it as well. It's very, very strange. So back to this website that I was talking about. They have, let's say, over 70,000 cameras. They claim it's a project to try and promote internet security.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right. But the page is monetized with adverts, and they've traced it for a GoDaddy domain to Moscow.
Fuck.
So draw from that what you will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit sketchy. Obviously, we're doing the research. We took a quick look at the homepage, and there were about 6 cameras on there. There was one pointing to a beach in Italy, one pointing to a random street in the US. There was one pointing to like a park.
Yeah.
You know? A park where children can be playing and things, and then there's people who was able to view this footage without anybody knowing.
Oh, that's fucking disturbing. I never thought of that.
Exactly. This is the problem.
So fucking paedophiles can be watched. Oh.
And remember, this is the technically not quite legal, but legal enough stuff. We're not even talking about breaking into people's own personal laptops and viewing them.
That's fucking disturbing.
This is the problem. And we have so many cameras around us. Like in this room right now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras.
Yeah.
And one of the more disturbing ones I forgot to mention on that website, there was one pointing to what looked like an animal pen in Japan. It would just look like a square steel box with some straw on the floor.
That's disturbing.
Yeah.
That's very hostile-esque.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, if you were to look for this stuff on the dark web, God knows what you'd find.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't know.
You know, we don't really want to be watched by strangers when we're going to work, when we're walking down the street, when we're filling the car up with petrol, when we're in the park, when we're at the bank.
Doing normal human things.
Yeah. And there's always that invisible spectre now that someone can be watching you doing it.
Yeah. And when you come to your next segment, that'll be all too real as well.
Tell me about it. But first, we have to talk. There is, like I said, about the illegal side of it, where it's people's private webcams and things like that.
Yeah.
That brings me to a court case that I found, which is frankly disgusting. It's the Robbins versus Lower Merion School District case, also known as the Webcam Gate. Now, this was back in 2010. It was a class action lawsuit brought against the entire school district. Now, what happened was, the complaint was filed against the school because the school was using its laptops that they provide to the students to spy on the children without them realising.
Disgusting.
So, how this came about, and I think this is the most ridiculous thing ever, is that the school punished a child for something that the child did at home. And they know it did it because they captured an image of the child doing it in their own bedroom.
What did he do, I wonder?
I've no idea. It didn't say. But obviously we're not using names or anything because that wouldn't be fair. But the kid was 15 at the time. And there's a camera taking pictures, unsolicited pictures, of this 15-year-old kid in his own bedroom. Like, it's ridiculous. So, and there was 3 complaints in this lawsuit. There wasn't just that one. There was 3 complaints. 3 complaints. They estimated that there was over 60,000 images taken.
Fucking disgusting.
Along with chat logs and web browser history. Like, and what they were doing is that there was a software on these MacBooks to it was like anti-theft software, but it could be used to capture an image every 15 minutes, but this interval could be turned down by the school admin to as low as 1 image a minute.
I'm worried about my fucking laptop at work.
Yeah.
Shit.
And this 1 image a minute was then sent back to the school server and could be viewed.
That's fucked up.
And this is in kids' bedrooms, you know?
Makes you wonder, like, what your employer could do.
Oh, God, yeah, you know?
Your employer has more right, well, not even, they don't have any right, but they could probably get away with it easier.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And, like, why? You know, why? It's such an invasion of privacy.
It's disgusting.
Because there could be sensitive things, obviously being fucking teenagers, like.
Like, I've often had my fucking laptop open and I've listened to music or something a couple of years ago when I used to actually use a laptop properly for like talking to people and stuff. After we finished chatting and I'm going to bed, I'd leave the laptop open, have some music on, get undressed and put my fucking pajamas on. Like, the school could be seeing that.
Yep.
That's fucking paedophilia.
Like that was the main reason this class action lawsuit was brought, because they're capturing images of underage kids without the kids' prior knowledge. There was nothing in the contracts for holding these laptops about it or anything.
Oh,
it's so messed up. But the thing is, this software that they used, it disabled the webcam for anything else.
Yeah.
So no live chatting or anything like that. The kids just assumed the webcams were broken.
Oh.
But there could be potentially an image every minute taken.
That's disgusting.
And this is one lawsuit out of, I don't know
how many,
but how much more often is this happening?
Like, this could be an entire episode in itself.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous. You know, the school ended up settling with $610,000.
So what's that, like $10 per image?
Probably, yeah. It was an out of court settlement.
Oh.
The fuck, right?
It's fucked up.
Like, it makes your skin crawl, to be honest.
Like, doing that to adults is bad enough, but doing it to fucking children.
Yeah.
How fucked in the head do you need to be to justify that to yourself?
They justify it to themselves as monitoring and behaviour and things like that.
Why? What gives them the right to do that?
Exactly. It's an oversight. It's an overreach, sorry. It's a disgusting overreach, but as I'll continue on later, it's not the only overreach.
So this brings me to my second and my last segment, which is cyberstalking and cyberbullying. Both equally as disgusting.
Oh, definitely.
It's another horrible formation of internet and internet culture.
Yeah.
So cyberstalking is defined as the repeated use of electronic communication to harass or frighten someone, for example, by sending them threatening emails. And cyberbullying is defined as a form of bullying or harassment using electronic means. So both cyberstalkers and cyberbullies make use of the internet, social media, all those other internet places to harass their victims.
Yeah, harass and just generally be shits to them.
Cause, like, extreme emotional trauma, basically. They can do this by harassing them, blackmailing them, threatening them, just making their life living hell.
Yeah.
Shit like this has been happening for hundreds of years. People blackmailing other people and everything like that. It doesn't make it right.
No, but it is unfortunately one of those, well, it's not a fact of life. It shouldn't be a fact of life, but it's a thing that happens.
Yeah. But I think having the internet aspect come in makes the attackers feel anonymous. So they have the balls to do.
Yeah, like sorry.
There's this certain like air of anonymity.
Yeah, they feel invincible because they're somewhere else behind a keyboard.
Yeah, keyboard warriors.
Well, keyboard warriors, yeah. And it's just it allows them to do and say things that they just wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
Or not
or maybe
even.
they would.
Maybe they would, but it gives them a platform to be at them constantly.
Yeah. Like, you want to call someone 500 times in 5 minutes? You can.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't.
You want to send people disturbing pictures or threatening videos or weird message, anything like that, you can.
Like, there was this thing that happened, was it this week or last week? There was an awful crash on the Dublin Ring Road.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And some sick fucker took some photos of the poor woman's body.
Yeah.
And shared them around social media.
Like, who?
I didn't see it.
No, I didn't see it either, but a friend of ours didn't they?
Yeah. And thankfully they got arrested, though.
Yeah, it was. They were prosecuted for it, but still, how and why is that okay? Like,
it's not. It's absolutely not.
There's no reason for it. It's baseless.
And unfortunately, these cases of cyberstalking, cyberbullying, and cybercrime, basically, are very hard to sentence legally, like send people to prison over.
Yeah.
Because technically, they're not doing anything physical.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can't be traced, and it's just very hard to pinpoint and prove that this person was doing it. But it's getting better.
Yeah, there's been a lot of new sorts of legislation brought in about it to try and counteract it, but
at the same time, cyberstalking and cyberbullying the rates are going up, not down.
Yeah.
So something needs to be done.
People are feeling more empowered to do it, I guess.
So on the 1st of January in 1999, California became the first state to pass a cyberstalking legislation, basically saying, it's illegal to cyberstalk people. 3 weeks later, a man named Gary Della Penta was charged and imprisoned for soliciting the rape of a woman who had rejected him.
Jesus.
What he did was he posted ads online using her name, her address, her phone number, saying that she had a rape fantasy and for people to go to her house and do this stuff to her.
I legit thought this was a creepypasta.
No, it's real.
This was real.
This was real.
Wow.
Yeah. The woman, obviously, she didn't know about this ad, but when she found out, she resorted to putting like a sign outside the door saying, "The ad is fake, please go away, get off the fucking property." And the guy, Della Penta, he updated the ad and said this was part of the fantasy.
Fuck's sake. Like, how can you even escape from something like that?
Yeah. About 6 men came to her door. Yeah. And countless others left awful, disgusting voicemails. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison.
Is that it?
That's it.
Jesus. I guess the poor woman near enough needed a new identity.
Yeah. It's fucking disgusting.
Like, and that's the kind of thing that the internet can allow you to do, I guess.
And what's worse is the guys who actually did physically do this, they can't be trialed. They can't be brought to justice.
Yeah.
More recently, I think 2017, there was a case in New York where a woman alerted police over 24 times to her cyberstalker. But they couldn't make the arrest for over a year.
Why could they not make the arrest?
They couldn't pinpoint him. They couldn't prove that it was him harassing her. Various other things. It's disgusting. He was posting nude pictures of her online, sending notes to her bosses that she had an STD, and making it appear she was running guns and trafficking child pornography.
Wow.
Which obviously she was doing none of that.
Yeah.
After a year, law enforcement were finally able to make an arrest after her attacker, Juan Thompson, posed as the woman to make bomb threats against Jewish centres across the country. So basically it took a threat of more than one person for them to get their shit into gear.
And actually do something about it. Fucking hell.
Disgusting. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison.
You see, it's almost like as a society we've been ill-equipped for this sudden rise in technology.
It has all happened so fast. I mean, we'll talk about this later, actually. Another case, which is unfortunately a lot more tragic. University student Tyler Clementi, he recently came out to his family about being gay. They were a bit iffy about it at first, but then they supported him and everything. So he enrolled in college and he was looking forward to, not having to hide his sexuality anymore. But his former roommate, Darren Ravi, he rigged up a camera in Tyler's bedroom without his knowledge and got footage of him kissing and with another man. Posted it on Twitter with threats of obtaining more photos like this. He never did. But Tyler begged the university to let him get a single dorm to get away from Ravi. But he never got a chance because he tragically wrote on Facebook, quote, "Jumping off the GW Bridge. Sorry."
Wow.
And he jumped off the George Washington Bridge and killed himself. In October of 2016, Ravi pleaded guilty to 1 count of attempted invasion of privacy, but he's not going to be held accountable for Tyler's death.
How can he not be held accountable for that? I don't really understand that, to be honest.
That's why things like this are so complicated.
Because it's hard to prove that. It's
hard to prove
that kind of thing. I suppose it could be quite hard to prove.
Obviously, he clearly was the cause of it. There were other absolutely tragic cases of children committing suicide.
I've heard of a few of these actually. Young children who can't seem to escape because it's on the phone, it's on the laptop, it's everywhere. It's at school, it's at home, and there's just no sort of safe place for them to be.
Children as young as 8 and 9. But I don't feel comfortable talking about that.
No, that's a bit too much, really.
Just out of respect for their families and everything like that. So how far does it have to go before the police get involved? How many times do police have to be alerted before anything can be done?
I wonder if some police officers are maybe dismissing it. Maybe some of the old school officers are, the ones who were sort of more around in the 80s and the 90s before this rise in technology. I wonder if it's been dismissed as...
But then I think that maybe is a bit of a generalisation. I think maybe they don't have the power to do anything.
Well, no, that's probably more of the bigger problem, is that they're just...
Because these laws are not in place correctly to help these poor people.
No, but then the laws can go too far the other way. Which is what I'm going to talk about now. Which was a very good hook, actually.
There we go.
There you go. So, like we just said, these laws can be used for good or bad, and there has to be a delicate balance. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the case. I'm going to now talk about probably the more insidious side of this sort of dark internet, and that is the rise of government surveillance. It's bad, people. Without sounding like a crazy man, it's bad.
Pretty much.
It's not a new thing, surveillance of the general population by the government. It's been around since as long as governments have.
To a degree. I mean... Progressively
getting worse. You can imagine a nation at wartime wants to watch its citizens for traitors, that kind of thing. But it has been progressively getting worse, and even more so since 2001. Obviously, after the September the 11th attacks, there was a conceited effort to be more sort of do more surveillance, basically. To try and stop these things happening before they happened. An understandable response, to be honest. And from what I can tell, it has worked to a degree. But since the internet really, really took off, I'm talking sort of 2010 onwards, when the internet and social media and everything really got going.
Basically since Facebook.
Yeah, basically.
And YouTube.
There's been a lot more sort of serious invasions put into law. One of them, I know this one quite well because it's from the UK and I can understand UK laws pretty well. It's called the Investigatory Powers Act of 2016. This is law now. This is actually happening.
There's nothing sinister sounding about that. What are you talking about?
Right. It's the brainchild. This is even worse. It's the brainchild of the now Prime Minister, but back when she was the Home Office Secretary. So this is her idea. And basically, it gives 48 separate government bodies, not just like intelligence officers, all parts of the government.
Even down to benefits office.
Yeah, even down to the benefits office. It gives them access to data stored on potentially anybody in the UK since 2016 without a warrant to see it. Now, you say access to data, well, what does that mean? That means the targeted and bulk interception of communications, so emails, messages, that kind of thing. It's search histories. The internet providers are now required by law to keep a record of everybody's search history for at least 12 months. And they have to hand it over to the authorities whenever they ask for it, without a warrant.
That's fucked up.
And like we said about the benefit office, local governments can then investigate people without their knowledge using this data without a warrant. Again, it's call tracking, it's all that kind of nasty sounding stuff. It's in law now, it's happening. And there's no sort of... No one's going to tell you you're being investigated, you're just being investigated.
Might explain why your phone's tapped.
You know what? It might actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might actually explain it. Because I have used that phone to contact the benefit office before.
Yeah. So
there you go. That's probably an explanation for it. Like, I'm not trying to make this sound worse than it actually is.
This is how it is.
This is how it is. This is all taken from the Wikipedia explanation of the law. Like, it's not from WikiLeaks or anything sinister like that. This is out in the public domain of what these laws are. Like, I was going to talk about the US sort of government censorship laws, but I don't really understand US law, to be honest.
I don't understand it either, but if you do, I urge you to look into it.
Yeah, because what we've read is quite unsettling. And so, for a long time, the NSA, thanks to Edward Snowden, we know this, the NSA was involved in actively tapping people's phones, emails, messages on a countrywide scale.
Yeah.
Like, tapping and storing these messages. Every single piece of mail sent in the US is scanned and photographed. Over 160 million pieces of mail. Like, and there's a program called the Magic Lantern that the FBI use that can install itself undetected on people's computers and monitor them.
Fuck that.
Like,
I'm gonna do a disk cleanup when we're done.
You'd never find it. You'd never find it. Not unless you knew what you were looking for, you'd never find it. I'm
going to Google and I'm going to find out what I should be looking for and I'm going to delete it.
They're said to have even used drones disguised as seagulls to spy on people.
No one wants to get that close to a fucking seagull, so
no.
I understand why.
I understand that as well, like, and it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That we're being spied on in such a huge way. And then you get to the other problem as well is that where does it end?
Yeah.
At what point does it stop? Like, they can use the law in the UK. They can use it to prosecute things down to unpaid parking tickets and fly tipping, which is basically just dumping things where you shouldn't do. Not right, not morally right by any means, but they can use these heavy laws to prosecute people for that.
But it makes you wonder, like, what stuff are they willing to go through to find all this information to prosecute?
Yeah, it's
they
crazy.
They have to go through everything.
Like, I remember a while ago, this is like the second iteration of this law. I remember when the first one was being proposed, before she was Prime Minister, and it was a lot worse than that. Interestingly, just as a side note, this law has been ruled as incompatible to the European Court of Human Rights.
Brexit!
So, there you go. Take from that what you will. She wanted WhatsApp to end their end-to-end encryption protocols on their messages so the government could get into people's messages. Like...
Fuck that.
It's ridiculous. But where does it end? It ends with China. As strange as that sounds. China has one of the most extensive camera networks in the world, probably the most extensive camera networks. In one province alone, there's estimated to be around 2 million cameras.
Huh!
One province.
There is a lot of people in China, but fuck me.
And all of these cameras are high-end cameras with some of the most advanced facial recognition software in the world. So they're tracked, they're constantly monitored, their internet is heavily censored, to the point where we won't be... You never get a listener for us in China, legally.
Yeah.
Like,
not now, anyway.
No, not now, anyway, but things like Facebook, YouTube, everything, like, it's all heavily censored.
Yeah.
I
think, actually, ASMR, you can't watch ASMR in China anymore.
Yeah, because it's all so censored.
Yeah.
The most popular messaging app in China, WeChat, I think it's like a state-sponsored messaging app. They can recover permanently deleted messages. They can recover them on WeChat. They're watching near enough every conversation with an AI system that's scanning for certain keywords and phrases and
fuck.
And not even that. The worst thing about it is that all this information, this sort of data, it gets mined into a profile for every citizen in China. This is what they're wanting to bring in by 2020. Every citizen
next year.
Next year, every citizen has a profile that's linked to like a social score with how well they do in society linked to this score. So the people who toe the line, don't break the laws and are nice about the government get a higher score. But the people who don't, the undesirables, they can't get into good schools. They can't travel freely, if at all. They can't get bank loans. Some of them would even struggle to get a job because of this social score and this social profiling.
That's Black Mirror type shit.
It is. It's ridiculous. And that's where it ends. That's where this level of censorship and surveillance ends. It's where people are constantly monitored for anything. It's 1984. The book 1984 is where this ends.
That's disgusting.
So, and I mean, it's the end of my sort of segment there, because much more and I'm probably going to get arrested.
That phone is going to be well and truly tapped.
So, when people say about this kind of thing, a good counter-argument that the governments and everything use is, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Like, reiterations of that phrase have been used for a long time. One of the original attributed people to saying that was Minister of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda for the Nazi Party, Joseph Goebbels. That's where this kind of thing will end. And
that's where this kind of episode will end.
Yes, I think so too.
That's where this one's going to end, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with the kind of urban legend side of the internet. Now, I know this whole episode has probably been very difficult to listen to. It was difficult for us to research. It's
scary to think of what's happening without you maybe realising.
And what is happening now, it's not maybe, it's not whether you're a skeptic or what, like, this is stuff that is happening. Yeah. There's no room for interpretation.
No, this is happening. I know that the law, specifically in the UK, there's been a lot of sort of human rights groups and things like that trying to fight against it.
Rightly so.
Because they see it as a dire invasion of people's privacy.
Of course it is. It's not a case of if you've nothing to hide, you've nothing to fear. It's a case of wanting your own privacy. Everyone has a right to privacy.
Yeah, you get into a whole maze of things about sort of, it's almost propaganda-wise stuff about how people should think that this is okay.
Yeah.
And the trouble is that I sound crazy again, but I'm really not, is that the government owns a lot more than people think they do.
Yeah.
Like, the government owns a lot of media.
Yeah.
And things like that. And so the things that you're seeing on the news and the things that you're reading about, they may be cultivated in a
favourable way.
Yeah, in a certain way to make this kind of invasion of people's privacy sound okay.
Yeah. And the irony is not lost on us that we are doing this on an internet platform.
No, it's not.
But I just think it needs to be said.
People, I think, need to be aware
of what information they're giving out.
Definitely they are. I mean, you're looking, there's even such a thing as corporate surveillance, where companies will pay good money for people's private data to mine and look for new ways to sell them things.
It happens.
It's happened to a lot of people.
It happens.
But, like, companies will pay good money to do it. And not even that. Political parties will pay good money for information on people, so then they can put out content on the internet that makes them sort of reinforce things that they may already know.
Yeah.
Or they may already think, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know that mentioned Brexit earlier, but the Leave side in the UK have actually been prosecuted for using this data to tailor adverts to people who may have already been thinking Leave. And
in Ireland, the abortion referendum that we had, the pro-life party, they were prosecuted. I don't even think they were prosecuted, but they were under scrutiny for doing the same thing.
Yeah, so there's that to think about as well. Yeah. Like, just be careful out there. And
it's a lot of propaganda, and I think everyone should be aware of the signs of the propaganda.
Yeah, like, it's unsettling. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the episode, this is the one that's really unsettled me.
Out of all the episodes we've done, I think this one genuinely chills me. Yeah. More than the Black Eyed Children, more than Dyatlov Pass, more than fucking dolls.
Yeah, like, this is the one that it's going to keep you awake at night.
For a whole different reason.
Yeah, for a much more insidious reason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's just us, like...
Yeah.
I don't want my personal shit being shared, basically.
No, definitely
So there you go.
I think that's a good place to leave it.
I think that's a very good place to leave it. So we'll be back in 2 weeks for part 2, which is urban legends and myths and etc, etc.
Yeah.
So
back to the stuff that actually comforts us almost.
Yeah, back to this. And if we've disappeared, then they got us.
Yeah, they got us. So yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, all at Spectral Asylum. You can go to our website, www.spectralasylum.com. Send us in your spooky stories, the stuff that happens to you, the weird boogeymans or things like that.
The monsters hiding under the bed, that kind of thing.
We're trying to get maybe like a collection of everyone's spooky stories so that we can read them maybe on like special occasions. Yeah. Like Valentine's Day. We could do like
Valentine's Day spooky stories.
Yes, bitch. Wow. So we're just trying to gather like a vault of spooky stories so that we can read them out. I think that's everything. We have merch. We always forget to
we got
push our merch.
We got merch.
The link will be in the show notes. I think you go to redbubble.com.
That's the one, Redbubble.
Redbubble.com/Spectral Asylum. We have a Touching Satanism shirt. And we have a logo shirt.
I really want a Touching Satanism shirt.
We need to buy one for ourselves.
We do. Maybe that's why we don't sell any merch.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye.